guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of Tell Me More. Today's drink of the day is Squirt and vodka, because all I could find was Squirt and Tito's, so that is what I came up with. I definitely have to go to the supermarket because I really need to pick up my favorite wine, because I've yet to drink that on Tell Me More, and I think that's so upsetting. And then I think I'm gonna pick up some mimosa ingredients and maybe some margarita ingredients. But it's kind of hard to make margaritas, like frozen margaritas right now, because it's so hot. So by the time that I make it and I bring it up to my room and I'm like ready to film and setting up, it would completely, totally just not even. But I could make mojitos. I guess, you know what? You should give me drink options down below and you should let me know what I can make or what I could drink, because I feel like I always have a hard time figuring out what I want to drink. So if you guys give me suggestions, which I think that would be so cool, you should definitely give me suggestions down below in the comments and let me know like the next thing that I should make or drink, because that way I can make up a shopping list and buy all of them when I'm at the supermarket. But for now, this is all I have, so cheers. Before I get started, a lot of you guys asked me where I got my necklaces from. These are the necklaces I was wearing in Truth or Drink. I was wearing my beige sweatshirt that had Mickey on it, and a lot of you guys asked about that too. That is from H&M. My necklaces though, this is the first one. This one has an M on it. Hopefully you can, there you go. So this charm and this chain came from Miranda Fry. They're sold separately. And then this second necklace has, I hope you can see that, it has a cross and it has a Y. Some of you guys are probably asking why I got a Y, and that's because my middle name starts with a Y. And then this chain is from HRH Collection. Okay, so today's stories are very targeted towards friends, but not only friends, they're targeted specifically about friendships and like their friends being in relationships and that being toxic and then your friendship ends kind of thing. So starting off with the first story. Hi, so recently my best friend and I have stopped talking. She's basically only had one real boyfriend before college. She fell in love with this boy and has been on and off with him for 4 years now. When she would come to me about things, I would always try my best to be a supportive friend. But I have to be honest. I let her know that I don't think he's right for her and he constantly was hurting her. So then she stopped talking to me about him. Recently, I found out that they have been back together for a year now, and she didn't tell me, or would tell me that she was going on dates with other people to avoid conflict. I was upset because we were best friends and I go to her about everything, and her having to lie to me about it made me feel like a bad friend. She now has cut me off because I retweeted a tweet saying something along the lines of, if it hasn't worked out by now, it's time to let go and start over. Again, not exactly how it was worded. I had no intentions of hurting her feelings because obviously she loves this boy, but I can see a difference when she's with him and when she's not. I just want her to be happy and I want the best for her. What would you do if you start to miss her and want the friendship back? I have a story time that I'll be talking about at the end of this as well, which will help you guys understand why I feel the way I feel about these two stories. So the first few things, if I go in order, because usually I have them all written down, is... So as a friend, I totally understand why you would want to have her back. Like, hey, I think he's hurting you all the time. I think that he's not right for you. It's totally normal as a best friend to want to protect your friend. That's what you were doing. But then I also understand why she's like, oh, I don't want to talk to you if all you're going to say is these negative things to me. Sometimes friends just want you to be a friend, and what I mean by that is they just want you to stand by them, to be able to protect them and, well, not protect them, I guess, because technically that's you protecting them. But even though you are best friends with someone, no friend or person, even family, like nobody can really tell you what to do. If you want to stay in a relationship, if you want to lose weight, if you want to move, if you want to be a stripper, if you want to do whatever you want to do, you can do whatever you want to do. No one can really stop you. Everyone's opinions can definitely change your mind, but really ultimately it's you. So if she's head over heels for this guy, no matter what you do, it won't affect the way she thinks of him. But I think the reason she cut you off is it's probably because she thought that you were just trying to be negative. I don't know if you're single or you're taken. Some friends, unfortunately, definitely have like toxic vibes where they're like, oh, she just wants to be in a relationship, or oh, she's just jealous of me, or I'm trying to think of other like possibilities. Or like she just wants me to break up with him, or I don't know. I'm like trying to think of other things that she could possibly be thinking about. Or maybe he even told her to stop talking to you. Sometimes toxic relationships kind of cut people that are important to them out. I don't know who this guy is. You didn't really mention what he's done to really hurt her, so I can't necessarily say he's bad, but I'm saying that's an option. He could have said, hey, I think she's a bad friend. I also don't know how close you are to him. A big thing could be that she felt like you didn't support her as a friend, because I guess that's how I would feel. I do think it's effed up that she would lie to you like, hey, I'm going on another date, just so that she doesn't really have to come to terms with the fact that you either don't like him or he's not good for her. But it's out of fear. So say this guy is super toxic to her, like he is very negative to her, he brings the worst out in her, but she's head over heels and he's the one for her in her mind. She is protecting their relationship from you. She is basically saying like, I don't want you to know because I can't come to terms with reality, and I know if I tell you everything, you're gonna remind me of reality, and I'm not there yet. So basically, I'm gonna keep you on that side, which is reality, and I'm gonna stay in my own bubble and live in a fantasy. Now, is this true? I don't know, because I don't know her side of the story, and I didn't really get too much detail about your guys' relationship nor her relationship. Like I said before, I don't really know why he's toxic to her or why he might not, quote unquote, show that he loves her. But like generally, that's what I'm getting at. She's making you feel like a bad friend because she's saying she doesn't want anything to do with you right now. Her relationship is her priority right now. Your guys' friendship isn't a priority, is basically what she's saying, unfortunately. And she's making you look like the bad guy because she needs a way out. Because she's so blind with everything that's going on with her and her boyfriend. So that's tough. About this Twitter thing. Twitter is very toxic. As much as Twitter is fun, Twitter is very toxic when it's used against people like that. Subtweeting, retweeting. Twitter is just a whole ball of emotions that can get in the way, and that is very just not always good. And what I mean by that is, I think you hurt her feelings. You tweeted, you retweeted. If it hasn't worked out by now, it's time to let go and start over. Now, you didn't say that it wasn't towards her. And you knew automatically that was probably what set her off. So I'm going to assume that you did retweet it because you were thinking about her. I think Twitter is very dangerous. Personally, for me, I think subtweeting and tweeting someone or retweeting someone like without actually adding them is very childish. Not that what you did is childish, because I understand why you did it, because that's what Twitter is. I'm just saying she's childish for stopping communication with you because she assumed that was her. It's like, girl, if you assume that was you and that's why you stopped talking to your friend, clearly you know, like it offended you for some reason, because half of it is true. Like, do you get what I mean? Twitter is, I think, sometimes very childish when it comes to that, like with the subtweeting and retweeting things. I feel like it can get really dangerous because people like go off and it's like, was that about me? But it's like, it's just Twitter. It's just something that I felt like I could relate to. Like, that's all it was. Was it about you? Could have been, but your name's not there, so it doesn't matter. Like, get over it. Like, y'all are sensitive. But basically, you asked, what would you do if you start to miss her and want the friendship back? How I would go about the situation is I would talk to her. I think you should reach out, and I think you should tell her that don't bring up the Twitter. Personally, I wouldn't bring up the Twitter. I would just be like, what did I write down? I said something. Oh, I would just be like, oh, hey, like, did something bother you? Like, what happened? Like, I'm sorry, did anything, like, did something happen between us that I don't, like, I'm not aware of? Like, what happened? Because technically, unless you really meant for her to see the Twitter, then I would apologize for the Twitter thing. But if you didn't, and that was just something random that you liked, didn't really like target it towards her, and you're the only one who knows the truth. So if you actually meant it because you knew she was gonna see it and you knew it was gonna trigger her, then you should apologize for it. However, if you're saying I just saw it and I just really like resonated with it, that's why I did it, then you shouldn't apologize for it, because it's her problem that she was offended by it. But I would be like, hey, what's wrong? Like, what happened? Like, you know, our friendship means so much to me, and I'm really confused why it ended the way it did, and I hope I didn't do something to offend you. And then, you know, that'll start conversation, and she'll be like, well, you tweeted, or whatever the case may be. But I would just reach out and talk to her. Try not to be so defensive and like attacking. Because I feel like when you attack someone, they immediately shut down. So if you're actually looking for an explanation, actually talk to her. Like, hey, we were really close and I missed that, and I want to know what happened, and I want to know if we can fix it, and that'll start conversation and see where that goes. Second story, I'm parched. Second story says, hey Michelle, so my story starts off like this. An old childhood best friend of mine and I had recently stopped being friends due to her relationship with someone. I don't like her in that way, but she basically was a sister to me growing up because we were so close. So last year she was struggling with getting a job, and I tried helping her because that's who I am and I help others who I love. But she made a very dumb excuse, saying that she had left most of her clothes at her boyfriend's house knowing she had an interview for a job. So me and her got into an argument about her not being an adult and not helping around her family and for herself. So after we had stopped talking for like a good 2 months, and we started talking again because both our parents noticed we weren't communicating with each other anymore, so we made up. Then a couple months later, almost a year into her relationship, they would always argue, and I would be the first one there for her no matter what. And they would always say that they were going to take a break from each other and leave each other alone, and I had confronted her about it because she was not only hurting her emotional and physical health, but she was also hurting mine. So I confronted her and told her if she doesn't feel the love from him anymore, then she should leave because it's toxic for her. So after that, we were hanging out with another friend of mine, and we were having our monthly vent session, and she was talking about how she wanted to leave him and this and that. And when we were going to go pick up more friends, he calls her and says, hey, I'm picking you up. So she left, and I was very upset because she was spilling all these emotions, saying she wants to leave him, and once he calls, she goes with him right away. And what had also triggered me more was that she had the audacity to call me toxic because I always get into her relationship. Like, how am I getting into your relationship when all you do is say you want to leave him, but you don't want to? Me and her aren't talking right now, but I miss her a lot, and I honestly don't know what to do. She was the only person I could talk about my guy problems with, and don't have anyone to talk about it now with. So what should I do? Should I just let her go or find someone else to talk about guy problems with? Hope you read and post this on TMM. Well, your story is on TMM. Hello. Okay, so where am I starting with this? I feel like I have so much to say, but I really want to make sure that I don't want to come off like mean. First things first, you are not a toxic friend. However, you shouldn't even be in her relationship. It is not a throuple, it's a couple, and it's just between her and her boyfriend. And I know it's hard to set yourself apart and be like, I'm always a part of it, or they're always bringing me in the fights, or she's always like, I'm always involved, like protecting her. I know, but it's not your relationship. At the end of the day, if she goes back, she goes back. I'm so sorry, but you can't help that because it's not your life, it's her life, and she's asking for it. And I know it's hard because you're like, oh my God, shut the because you're like, you're gonna go back. Today she'll be like, oh my God, he's so bad for me, I deserve better. Like, I'm gonna end this relationship. And then he calls and then she leaves. and she'll go. Because that's just who she is. That's just what she wants. That's what she needs. Like, you can't help that. So all you can really do at the end of the day is be her friend. Sorry, and I'm very feisty about this because it happened to me. But I'm gonna go through the story like I always do. It says, but she made a very dumb excuse saying that she had left most of her clothes at her boyfriend's, knowing she had an interview for a job. It seems like it really irks you that like she doesn't have her life together, and I totally understand that, but you just gotta let her do it. You either like give up on her or you keep trying. And I know you're like, I am, because I love her and I want her to be like herself and independent. But at the same time, if she's not gonna do it, then you just gotta let her go. You either love her enough to keep going or you don't and you let her go. Like, that's just how it is, unfortunately. I don't specifically know why this boy is toxic to her either. Both stories, I don't really have enough detail to understand why he's bad to her. But I feel like majority of the reason why she stays is because possibly she's insecure about herself, so she feels like, okay, he's the only one who'll love me. What else did I write? Because she thinks that's all she deserves. She also could think that she will never find anything better, or she's just really dependent on him. Money-wise, I don't know what the situation is. Seems like she doesn't really have a job. There's just a lot of reasons why people stay, and sometimes they stay forever, sometimes they don't. I don't really know her situation, so I can't necessarily say that she's stupid for staying, because I only have your side, and your side is saying he's a bad person, but I don't know why he's a bad person. But I think what's most important is that you stood up for yourself and you're like, hey, your relationship is now onto me, and I feel like I'm in a place where I'm being mentally and physically disturbed by your relationship. I think you need to be able to find like a mark. Like, here it is, this is the mark, this side is your friendship and this side is their relationship. Sometimes I understand why you hop the fence and get into their relationship, but at the end of the day, you go right back to the friendship. The friendship is all that really matters in the end of the day, because you are not with him and he is not with you. They are together and you are together, and you are just giving her advice. But if she chooses to stay in this relationship, that's on her. And if you love her enough, you stick around, and if you are done with it, then you're done. Something that also really like popped up was you mentioned twice that you're gonna miss her because you need someone to talk about your guy problems with. You said, should I let her go or find another person to talk about your guy problems with? She was the only person you talked about your guy problems with. I think you only meant that like in a sense where like you need someone to talk about your stuff with, but if that's all you're focused on, friendship is more than that. So just make sure, that's all I gotta say. Friendship is more than just talking about your guy problems. You should find a friendship where it's not just about guys and talking about guys and guys and guys and guys and guys and guys. If she was just your person because you were able to be open about your guys, you have tons of other girls out there who can talk about guy problems. Everybody goes through guy problems or girl problems. Someone is going through some kind of relationship problems. That is an easy friend to find if that's all she was there for. Girl, that's easy. You can go out. I think there's Bumble Friends. You could literally download Bumble and do Bumble Friends and look for a new girlfriend and be like, oh my God, can I tell you about my guy problems? I'm sure you'll find one very quickly. Girls and guys, when it comes to talking about, actually, I don't think guys are very much like us, but girls, we're very chitty chatty. We're very, let's talk about gossip. What's going on in your life? What's going on in your sex life? We're very curious. We want to know everything. That's why we are so smart. Just kidding. Okay, if you couldn't tell, I obviously am very passionate about these topics. And the reason being is because I once had a friend. I will not name who, but I had a friend and she got into a relationship, and her and I are not friends anymore. She got into a relationship and she really liked him. Like really, really liked him. She was like head over heels for him. Oh my God. I knew him. I personally knew him. I had met him. I had talked to him. She asked me to stop communicating with him because I loved her to death, but she definitely had some self-confidence issues, like all of us. We all go through it, but she was like, it has to be him. And so she asked me to stop communicating with him because of personal things. And I said, okay, you know what? Fine. Like, and it was her first boyfriend. So I was like, okay, it's okay, fine, sure. I will back off. Not that I really want him at all, like at all. I am not at all attracted to him, but fine. It's totally fine. If that is what you need in our friendship, like, I'll do it. Like, no questions asked. So I stopped communicating with him. I still saw him. I was very cordial. That was all that mattered. Like, I was like, you know, whatever. They were coworkers also. And I always visited her at work, so I saw him, so I would always just say hi. That was all. But I like kept my distance and whatnot. Then she got into a relationship with him. Like, they finally had the title and they were boyfriend and girlfriend. And he was terrible to her. Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God. He was terrible. Oh my God, I hate him. And I have personal reasons why. And there's actually, this is the first half of the story. And I will one day get to share with you guys the second half of the story. But this is the first half of the story, and oh my God. But anyways, he was terrible to her. He purposely said things to her to hurt her. He like emotionally cheated on her all the time. He would basically verbally abuse her, I guess. He would like nonchalantly call her fat, and she thought it was because he cared. It was just very bad. And I told her, like, I went on and on and on, and I told her all the time why he was so bad. And then I had a terrible relationship with him later on, because then he called me a hoe because I wanted to go out. And who knew that the best friend who was single who wanted to go out was a hoe? Like, okay. I did not have a good relationship with him in the end. I blocked him. I did not associate myself with him. She knew that. And we stayed friends, but it was very hard because I did not like him. He treated her terribly. She stayed with him. She constantly was hurting over him. But at the end of the day, she chose him. That's all that mattered. To her, her relationship was everything. Do I understand it? No. Will I ever understand it? No. I also, of course, have the second half of the story where I have to, I just, no. Did they break up a couple times? Yes. Did she go back? Yes. Will she always go back? Yes. I hope that one day she decides to take her stand and say that she deserves better. But as of now, I believe that they're still together, and I hope he's changed. I hope she's changed. I hope she's grown. I hope the best for them. However, for our friendship, it did not, you know, I definitely shut her off. Like, I was like, I don't want to hear about him. I remember at one point, I even told her, like, hey, I don't want to hear about the good and I don't want to hear about the bad, because at the end of the day, I don't like him. You deserve better, because who gives a shit whether he's good to you once or twice out of the month when he's totally horrible to you the other times? Like, what is the point of this? So she basically didn't ever talk about her relationship because I didn't want to hear it. I completely shut her off because I was like, no, I'm not dealing with it. We had a lot of problems with that, because I was adjusting to being her friend, knowing she was dating someone seriously. But oh boy, you guys, it was terrible. Terrible. He was something. That's for sure. I need more alcohol for this.
Hi you guys, it's me, Michelle. I just paused the video here because I wanted to clarify that this half of the story is not the reason why we stopped being friends. There's way more to the story that I have yet to share one day, but just to clarify, this is just the beginning.
I didn't even know that someone could be so horrible to you. Like, the things he said to her are terrible. Like, I remember, like, she was so in love, you guys. Like, she was so in love. And I can only imagine being in love for the first time. You know, like, she wanted this to be her person. But he wasn't there. Like, oh my God, I can't even. Like, I'm like, I want to talk about it so much, but at the same time, I'm like, it's so much detail, and like, I don't want to just give it all away. But I was in the same position. I had a best friend. She chose her relationship, and that's all it was, and I let it go. I had to let it go, because at the end of the day, that was important to her. That was her priority. I was not a priority, and so I let it go. That was it. Like, I can't do much about it. What are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? And I know you go, all those years, trust me, I know. I was friends with her for a very long time, and I don't mean just a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 or 5. No, I was way more than that. I was friends with her for years and years and years. We grew up together, and it was just, our lives are different, and it had to come to that, and that's that. But then you let it go. And do I miss her? All the time. Do I wish it could go back? If it's just me and her, yes. But there are things, you grow up and people change, and different people enter your lives. You learn new things. You start new career paths. You start a new life, you know? That's like the circle of life, unfortunately. Is it hard? Yes. Do I want to talk to her? Yes. But life is different now. I think it's always hard when you lose a friend, whether that's because she found another friend, or they found a boyfriend, or whatever the case may be. I think that it will naturally always hurt when a relationship ends, unless it's like totally horrible. But I feel like even the hard relationships, they're hard to get over. If you have been in a relationship with someone, whether that's a friendship or not, for them to be gone after so much time, it hurts, and it's normal, but it's okay. You know, time heals a lot of different things. But anyways, that's my story. I've gone through the same thing. I think a lot of people have gone through the same thing. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Tell Me More. It was definitely targeted for friendships, and friendships being in relationships and how that affects us. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. And don't forget to comment down below your favorite drinks or different cocktails that I can make for Tell Me More, because I would love to start venturing out, you know. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I will see you guys next time. Bye.